Welcome to the Peace and Possibilities podcast. This is Julie Bruns, and you are about to be inspired. I am so excited to share my conversations with amazing people from all walks of life who figured out how to be happy, peaceful, and content doing work they love and making the world a better place so that you can see what's possible for your life. I can't wait to hear what you think. Send me an email and let me know one thing you're taking away from this episode. And never forget, anything really is possible. Welcome, everyone. My guest this week is Tarzan Kay. And Tarzan and I, this is the first time we're speaking. And Tarzan, I don't know, you probably don't know this, but I came across your work a couple of years ago when I was launching my own business. And I was listening to a lot of, it was 2019, I think, 2019 or 2020. And I was listening to a lot of Amy Porterfield's podcast. And several other people in that space. I take long walks every day, and that was my way of learning about running a business and what I needed to do. And to be honest, I really wanted to write a book, and I did. But it was all part of I'm writing a book, I'm doing a podcast, and I want to get my message out, and I want to start writing great emails and get clients. And she was promoting your work and talking about what a great example you are of someone that went off and figured out how to run a great business. So I was inspired right away, and I sent it for your newsletter, and I get it. And I've learned a lot from you also about writing copy and newsletters and stuff like that. So thank you and welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to this interview. I feel like you're really well prepared.
I just love doing this, and I love meeting people that love what they do. And you're a great example of that, which is why you're here. So I want to just start with the simple, tell people in my audience or people that are discovering you for the first time, like, what do you do now? And did you always see yourself with the career that you have? Did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Did you know you wanted to run your own business or be a great writer? What did you see yourself doing growing up?
Yeah, I have known since I was very young that I wanted to be a writer. Like I knew it from really being from when I was a small child. And like I wrote it on my homework assignments when people would ask, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a writer. And now I'm a writer. And that to me, I feel like is what's most primary about my identity, and everything else is how I support my writing career. So I teach email marketing and copywriting, and copywriting is really how I turned writing into a career. And initially, so like I was doing a lot of writing about business and writing about marketing, and over the years I've like really leaned heavily into storytelling. And now it's gone so deep into the storytelling that it's actually bleeding into a new thing. And so I feel like I'm established in my, like having figured out how to do something creative with my life. And I also feel like I'm at the very beginning because now I'm trying to figure out what my next thing is. Although I will not be letting go of the old thing. Like I'm still an entrepreneur. I still love my business. I love my employees. Our programs are really good. But that thing, my hope is that that can live with a little bit less of me so I can really lean into my writing, because that right now is what I feel the most passionate about.
I love that. I love that it's also a testament to and a lesson about some intention you have, and that it can go another direction than you were expecting. And like you said, it's unfolding in this way that you probably didn't anticipate. And now that it did unfold in this new way, it's like and you're drawn to it. That's what you're supposed to be going towards. You're supposed to be going towards things you're drawn to and that you're excited about, which is why I do this podcast. It's like people will have plans, and the plans change, and they're like, well, now I have to go finish this because I started this career, this degree, or whatever it is. It's like, not necessarily. So I'm glad that, especially for someone like you who's had a successful career, doing the copywriting and all of that, to say, and you're a really good writer, but to say, okay, well, I'm doing something else with the storytelling, and that's something new, and I'm good at it. And you can have both. You can keep doing the thing that you're successful at and then be successful at something new.
I think so. I hope so.
Great example. So when you were, I think you were a copywriter for someone else, and then you started your own business. Did you know what made you successful doing the work for someone else, if I'm accurate in that? And then doing your own thing? Like what along the way were you like practicing or thinking, or what was your mindset? What made you successful early doing it and then onto your own business?
I think honestly, I think a lot of what made me successful really early is that I was confident and highly privileged. Like I'm nice looking, I'm a white woman, I'm thin, like I hold a lot of dominant identities that people just like trust and follow without me having to do anything. So I'm just going to start by owning that. I didn't realize that until years of being like, why aren't the things I'm teaching people like working out this way for them? And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, right. I forgot about privilege. So A, privilege.
Yeah.
B, there were some key things in the early stages of my career that really helped a lot. And it was part luck. And it was also part me being talented. Like I definitely have a lot of natural writing ability and also like going for things. So just as an example, like I was about 6 or 7 months into my copywriting career, like more as a business owner, because I freelanced a bit and didn't really do much or make any money. But then I really started a business, rented an office like in January 2016. And so now it's like the summer and there's this email copywriting contest that I entered and won. And through that contest, one of the judges was Amy Porterfield's copywriter. And Amy Porterfield is like a name in the online course space. So I knew who she was. And he was kind of looking to replace himself because he wanted to do other things. And not only had he seen my emails and been impressed with them, but also we struck up a friendship and we just really liked each other. So he recommended me to Amy and I wrote for her for a while. And she was always so generous in her, like, I know you because of Amy. I know so many of my students because of my association with Amy. Like, I can't even tell you how often someone buys a program or says, I've been on your email list because I saw you speak at Amy's event or Amy mentioned you. Like, and again, like I showed up for her and I did good work and we had a nice relationship. So, but that's also luck too, right? So there's a lot of things at play. And there were some, several moments in my career like that helped me sort of just move really fast and very quickly. Like, I was kind of maxed on what I could get clients, but also my rates, like there was just a lot of demand. And so I kept raising my rates, but then I got to a place where I was like, this doesn't feel good. Like, okay, fine. I can charge $3,000 for a single day of copywriting services. However, like these people who are buying this are like, they need so many things. They're beginners. Like, I don't know if they're going to get the value. I don't know when they're going to get return on investment. And they're hiring me because I'm like a charismatic person and a leader that they see as someone who can may wave a wand over their work and make them more successful. So for many reasons, I started moving into like more group work and teaching. Also because it's more scalable. And also like, I wanted to write for myself. Like I didn't really want to write in other people's voices all the time. I wanted to use my own voice.
I like that.
And so I went in the direction of online courses and, have hired more employees over the years and built something really special that I'm really proud of. Like my business is highly systematized. We're a really great team. Like we provide awesome customer service. We do not use coercive marketing tactics. We are like very clearly on a mission. And like the last, since the pandemic, well, early pandemic, there was actually like a weird boom and business was awesome. And then the last year has been really hard, but, we're like tighter than ever. And I'm really proud of the work that we're doing.
You should be. It's awesome. And I feel that in your messaging too, that it's not like, first of all, you say it straight out. But I felt it even before you talk about that. I'm not going to bore you with this. Not even bore is not the right word, but I'm not going to shove things down your throat. If you don't want to be here, please don't be here. I only want to give you what you want. Like people respect that. People admire that. And it's also so fresh because it's not necessarily how most people do marketing, or, you know, like you sign up for one little thing and then all of a sudden you're getting 10 emails a week. And it's like, I didn't sign up for that. I just wanted to get this content that you said I could have. It's like, well, now you want to be in this, you want to be in that. No, I don't. I don't want to get 10 more emails a week. And I didn't sign up for that. And if I did, it was inadvertent. And if it was inadvertent, that means there's some little trick in how you do things. It's just something that doesn't feel good. And people know when they feel that it's like, this is not what I wanted. And why is that the way you want to do business, et cetera. So I admire that about you. And I'm sure that's probably a big reason that you're successful. So kudos to you for that.
Thank you.
Also, I wanted to ask you about, I'm sure you get a lot of, you know, I know that your main business right now is email marketing, copywriting, but I'm sure you get a lot of people, because you speak a lot, asking you for career advice, and depending on how old they are. I'm a career coach now for university students, so that's a younger generation, but I'm getting asked for advice all the time. What do you say to people that, whether they're younger or older, you know, I want to do something that's very fulfilling, not necessarily what you do, and I don't want to be my own boss, but how can I use my strengths to, how do you coach someone like that? Or what do you say to them about, like, what's the first couple of things? I know what I would say. I'd just love to hear what you would say to them. Like, I want to find something where I can use. Can you
say, tell me what you would say, and then that'll get my wheels turning, because I don't often talk to people who aren't business owners and don't want to be business owners.
Yeah. So I would say, so these students that I'm coaching, I say, you know, like, they're like, I had this degree and I don't know that I want to have a job in this degree anymore. I'm like, well, what do you really love? And this girl the other day, she's like, I love designing. I think theme parks are really cool. I'm like, okay, well, there's people that do that right now. So let's go find who those people are and talk to them and see how they figured it out. Like, just, you know, the first question is always, well, what do you really love? What can you not stop doing? What can you not stop thinking about? What do you get so excited about when people are like, I can see your passion. Tell me what that is. And then let's start a conversation. You have to start that way. If you're starting another way, like just for the money or just for the whatever it is, you're eventually going to fall flat and you're not going to be very happy. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I feel compelled to mention that I've never had a career. But prior to starting my business, I didn't have any real jobs. I barely worked full time even. Like, I would like wash windows. I would like work at Tim Hortons for a summer. I was just like, I lived in Montreal and I could live really cheaply on very little. And so maybe what I actually want to say is, like, if you can give yourself time to figure it out, like, that was really good for me, like, to figure out a way to live simply, which I realize have major inflation right now, and that's hard.
Yeah.
But figuring out how to live simply rather than like throwing yourself into something that you're not sure you're gonna like I went to law school. I went to law school because I thought like it would be challenging, and you know, I would be around smart people and I would make money. Mostly that I would make money. I wanted something stable. And I got into it, and right away it was like, these are not my people. So, you know, I was able to try things and cross things off my list because, you know, I was just living simply and enjoying my life and letting the thing come through when it came through. Cause even for the last, like, I've kind of known for the last 2 years that I'm ready. Like, I've been waiting for my next big idea, and I've been wondering, like, what is it? Like, I wish it would come faster. Like, I'm almost annoyed and frustrated. And sometimes I get an idea, but I don't quite know what it is and I can't grab onto it. And it's been a real lesson in patience. Just like, okay, I'm going to like make space for this thing. I'm listening for it. And I'm just going to like, let it come through in its own time.
Yeah, I love that, the being patient part, because everyone wants, when you know you're not happy and you don't have what you want and you don't know exactly what that is and you're waiting for it, of course you want it to come. As soon as you decide that you want something different, you want that something different to come right tomorrow, today. And it doesn't work that way. And the sooner you can get your head around the fact that you're going to have to be patient and let divine timing kind of do its thing and help guide you, the easier the path is. That's one thing I didn't learn when I was younger. I just thought, I'll just work hard and then everything I want will come to me because I'm just working hard. And that's not necessarily how it goes, number one. And number two, like you said, if you're not giving yourself space to figure it out and you just have your head down working, you can't listen to the guidance. You can't listen to a new sign or see that new thing over there because you're so focused over here. It's like, wait a minute, you missed 2 or 3 of them over here. That was a month ago or whatever. So I love your
Yeah.
idea of living simply so that you can give yourself some space to it instead of like being so stressed out. Well, I have to work because I have all these bills and I live in this place and whatever it is, that you have fewer options because you're stuck. Yeah, that's really good advice. Okay, so you've lived a lot of life and you've had a lot of different experiences. What's one thing you wished you learned a little earlier in your life or career? It could be personal or professional. What's one thing you're like, gosh, I wish I knew that sooner?
That's a hard question. And I thought of something. I thought of an answer to this the other day. What was it?
While you're thinking, I'll say what I would do. I wish I knew all the mindset work and all the stuff about allowing and being patient. I wish I knew that sooner. I wish I knew that hard work. I've always been a hard worker. I've been working since I was 14. I wish I knew that it wasn't only about the hard work.
Yeah, right. It is not all about the hard work. Although it is important. Hard work is important too. I guess I would say, and I'm reminding myself this right now, like I hate failing at things. I hate failing at things. It's so, and I mean, nobody likes failing at things.
Right.
It's so hard. But when I look back on my business and like the things that I failed at were where I got the most important lessons, like especially the failures that were like the most public and the hardest for me to own. Those ended up being like the most important things. And this year, like because the world has just changed so much and the industry is changing so much, like we've tried and failed at lots of things. I've made lots of mistakes, and it's something that I have to constantly remind myself, like there really is no such thing as failure. Like when something doesn't work, like you get really good data. When something does work, you're like, great, what I know is true. Awesome. Right. Like,
good point.
So I think learning from failure is like really important. And I think that people who are really successful also fail a lot. And I've been reading this book called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. And it's written by this guy who owns like a software company. And he's like he comes on as like CEO of the company. I think his name's Ben Horowitz, like in just the worst time. And he's just running damage control for like 2 years and like constantly looking like he's on the brink of the whole thing totally capsizing. And since reading that book, and like, of course, like he did come through it. It was like he coined this phrase, wartime CEO. And at some point he realizes he's a wartime CEO. And since reading that book, like I notice it a lot, like in like just examples of things that were just like such a losing battle, and what a miracle it is that things can come together. And it reminds me that like sometimes like things like the world right now is like, it's fucking bleak. Like there's we are collectively going through like a massive trauma globally. And I don't know, it just I know it's a bit cliche to say the darkest hour is before the dawn, but it does, like it helps me to remember like people come through extraordinary things. And I think the harder something is, like the more growth is in it for you and the more richness is on the other side. So I have been like, I'm also going through a divorce right now. So it's like things are just hard on all levels. And but sometimes I get a peek through, like a glimpse at what's coming, and I'm like, oh man, I'm pretty sure this is going to be worth it.
Yeah, I love that. I wrote down what you said about the harder something is, the more growth there is. I mean, and it's seems obvious when you say it, and you think about it for a minute, but it's like, but when you're in it and something's hard, whether it's personal or professional, it's like you know that it's not going to last forever, but who wouldn't love to have a time machine or like a predictor where it's like, oh, it's really only going to be 3 more months. I've been going through this transition too over the last couple of years, and it's like I did the things I thought I needed to do, and then things weren't happening the way I thought they were supposed to happen or were going to happen or wanted to happen. And they weren't happening in that way. And it's like, all right, I'm supposed to learn something else. I'm supposed to learn something else. And now that I'm on the other side of it, it's like, oh, I see. I actually wrote on LinkedIn today, just very simply, thank you for all of the no's, because it allowed me to say yes to what I'm doing right now. If I had said yes, or someone else had said yes to me to any of those other things I thought were right for me, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And I love where I am right now. And now I'm grateful for it. And I knew that all along the way, but you have these ups and downs. And some days you're like, yeah, of course it's going to happen. And then the next day it's like, why isn't it happening? Always, back and forth and waiting. And everyone has those challenges. I don't care if you're 18 or you're 78. People want what they want when they decide they want it, and it doesn't work that way. And it's hard to be patient, but patience is just really while you're waiting and wondering, you can still work hard and you can still make good decisions and be around good people. But sometimes waiting is a lot longer than you want it to be. And it's hard, but that doesn't mean you still have to do it. You still have to be patient and stay positive and everything. So fun life lessons as we age, right?
True.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So I have two final questions for you. You can answer them in whichever order you'd like. One is, what's the greatest gift that you, Tarzan Kay, offer the world every day? So not what do other people say it is, but what do you think it is, the greatest gift you offer the world? And what's one new thing you're taking away from our conversation today?
The greatest gift I offer the world. Wow. That's a good question. I think I'm a really compassionate person, and in my business, I tackle a lot of really difficult topics. I spend a lot of time talking about cult leaders. I spend a lot of time talking about coercion and manipulation in the industry. I sometimes call people out. I share controversial work, and I do really dig into some hard things. And also I feel intense compassion for everyone I have ever mentioned. And I do feel like that's kind of a gift of mine sometimes. And it doesn't even really bite me. I was going to say sometimes it bites me, but it doesn't really. I do see people. I do have an ability to see goodness in people, no matter what. So that feels like a gift for myself as much as it is for others. And taking away from this podcast, what am I taking away from this podcast? Well, I guess it was really helpful for me to just remind myself about failure, because I forget, and I need to I need to remember that all the time. Every tiny failure is oh, I learned something. Okay, I'm getting more data. I'm growing, and that's a powerful reframe.
I love that. It's something I know you're a parent and your kids are younger. Mine are 20 and 25. I say that, and I've always done this. My husband and I have both done this, where we say what have you learned from that? Or this didn't work out. Well, why do you think it didn't work out? There's always something you can learn from it, instead of just saying that stinks. What's next? It's no, that stinks. And maybe it's for the best, or here's all of the things it could mean if it didn't work out for you. And it's nice because I didn't have that when I was growing up. I didn't have someone sit next. Well, my dad did a little bit, but there were a lot of us, so it was hard to do on a regular basis to all these kids. Well, I'm one of 11 kids. But I didn't have, my mom wasn't like that, and I didn't have a lot of great mentors in my life that were how can I help you? And let's see about what that means. And which is one of the reasons I wrote my book. And now that and being a parent, I was I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do what I wish I would have had, and sit down and think about things and reflect, instead of just put your head down and work hard and then expect everything to be perfect. And when it's not, have someone to bounce ideas off of. And I think failure, I'm really glad you brought that up, because those are the things that teach you the most. And I love what you said too about when things go right, you're oh yeah, I thought so. It's great. Of course it's great. You just kind of brush that off and then go on to the next thing. You're not really reflecting. You're just saying that was really awesome, but what else could be awesome? But when you fail, you're oh, well, what was that? Why did that happen? And you have to reflect, and the reflecting is where the growing is, and that's where the learning is, and that's where you need compassion and all those other human things. I think that's what makes us, that connects us more, probably. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much for saying yes and coming on this podcast. I've been wanting to talk to you for a couple of years. I've actually been asking about it for a long time, and I would walk and listen to your podcast and Amy's, and it's been a long time coming. So I'm glad I reached out, and I'm glad you said yes, and I'm glad we spoke and met. I really admire your work and what you're doing, and I think you're an awesome presence in the business world and as a human. So thank you.
Thanks for having me, Julie.
Take care. Best of luck to you.
Yes.
Thanks for joining, everyone. Bye. Thanks for listening. I hope you loved this episode. Don't forget to like us, subscribe, review, and share it. I hope you were truly inspired. And for a little more inspiration, don't forget to pick up my book, Peace, Possibilities, and Perspective: 8 Secrets to Serenity and Satisfaction in Your Life and Career. I can't wait to get you love in your life.